Hello, everybody. Just thought I'd get another video in here. Things are getting busier, and hopefully for everybody else too, more social. Uh, Things are beginning to ease back into normalcy again. Hoping to get my second vaccine soon. I know lots of people who've had two, and as those numbers rise, we should see some kind of normal activity, whatever that is. It's funny when you're not used to doing things that we've been restricted for so long now. It seems that you begin to get out of the routine of even doing social things, which is dangerous to me. It's like, we only got so much time on this earth here. Let's take advantage of it, and let's be together with your friends and enjoying life. And um, if you get out of the habit of getting together, it's sometimes begins to you begin to do less of it, and that just seems like a waste to me. We need to get out there and see each other and enjoy each other's company. Um, there was a recent flurry of activity on UFOs. I don't know if you guys have seen that in the last month or two. All of the video and technical information that has been flowing from the U.S. military on what used to be, I guess, classified interactions with unidentified flying objects, or what do they call them now? They've changed the names so that it doesn't carry the same connotation, but they are just unidentified objects. And it's funny, I think the same thing that made people interested in dinosaurs when they were a kid, and science fiction and UFOs is sort of all one thing. It's this fascination with stuff that seems unbelievably fantastic, but there is evidence of it existing. In the case of dinosaurs, it was very strong evidence. You had the bones, and you had pretty clear evolution going on, and they were an interesting source of information and a source of also science fiction writing. What if someone was dropped into a world of dinosaurs? What if? And UFOs have kind of done the same thing over the course of time, I guess, where speculation on whether they were representatives of intelligence in another planet somewhere, another world somewhere. And the sheer numbers seem to indicate that there should be some other intelligence out there, just based on the number of, and certainly now we know that there are lots and lots and lots of planets, many billions of planets. There's a billion stars in our galaxy. So knowing that most of those planets, or most of those suns, have planets, and many of them are rocky, and many of them, might contain life, that out of all the life, there could possibly be lots of intelligent life, and maybe been around longer than we have. But there's been many an argument made, and certainly a lack of any indication of other intelligent life from signals that we're looking for, and other signs. And a lot of people, I think, have not really considered many of the limitations, such as we ourselves have not exactly been noticeable. It's only been like 100 years since we've been doing radio broadcasts that are strong enough that might get picked up elsewhere. And that 100-year bubble of radioactivity around our planet has only encompassed, I think the estimate was 15,000 stars. So it's 100 light years around us is 15,000 stars. Well, what are the chances of, out of those 15,000, that there's a intelligent form of life that's actually looking at us and is in a position to collect data on those radio waves and sort of go, oh, there's something interesting happening over here, and then send something to check us out. It's probably very low odds on that. So to me, all of this UFO activity and UFO speculation, it's missing something. When you look at the analysts, and particularly military analysts, who look at the data, they assume that the data from the instruments is correct. They assume that this is actually happening the way the instruments are are showing it on their scopes and the various output devices that they use for the infrared and the radar. I don't know if they use any other, I guess they have optical as well. But for the most part, what we're looking at is, in fact, the presentation of what the instruments are picking up. And they don't say that. They don't put it that way. They say, we saw this, we saw that. Well, you're not actually seeing it with your eyes. You're seeing it from instruments. So what needs to be said is the instruments picked this up. The instruments showed this thing, emerging from the water and going, Mach 8 across with no jet trail, and stopped dead and did this and reversed and, all of these things that seem physically impossible, moving through the air without leaving a vapor trail, without leaving a sonic boom, without, and going through the water like it's air. All of these things that are being speculated that are happening with these objects, it may well be that this isn't happening at all, in fact. And that isn't being, basically the options being presented by these experts are that it's a domestic American experimental situation, where there's a program that's very secret and is now being detected. It is foreign, experimental, and or off-world, alien. And it just seems to me that, what about the one where the instruments are picking up something that is a artifact of some kind of interference or something atmospheric, even natural, but the instruments don't know how to interpret it and show it as something that is solid when it is in fact not solid. Ball lightning, things. There's all kinds of things going on in the atmosphere. I mean, just recently there was another form of sprite. I don't know if everyone's heard of sprites, but above the lightning activity and very active storms, there are very high altitude, like 10 to 100 miles or more, I think, in the very thin atmosphere, electrical phenomena that are called halos or whatever. I forget the high altitude something. And this has recently been discovered, and there's new forms of this electrical activity way up in the high atmosphere, still being determined and discovered now. So if that kind of thing could have been happening without our knowledge, what else is going on? So I really have a hard time making the leap to intelligent alien life is monitoring us and playing games with the and by the way, it is also interesting to note that with all of the cameras that are on smartphones everywhere, and we're picking up video of the most amazing things going on in the world because of it, all of a sudden there's no more pictures of UFOs over landmass with just normal people taking the pictures. It's now seemingly concentrated in areas where the military are active, and it's only the military picking them up. Tells me that it's probably more likely that the military instruments are picking up things that are invisible to everybody else because they're instrument artifacts or some form of natural phenomena or some kind of phenomena that's it's not alien in form. So anyway, it's interesting, the UFO stuff. It's a diversion from the usual COVID in the news, and one of the other things that sort of gets to me a little bit too is the idea that governments are happy with regulating and controlling and keeping us inside, and it's all part of liberals love it when they can do this, or this conservative premier is very happy to keep us in our houses, and authoritarian, blah blah blah. I'm quite sure all of these politicians would have been very happy for COVID never to have happened. They, I don't believe, are in any way authoritarian, at least in our country, and wanting to, be in that position where they have to decide when to open up and when not to open up, and this is a difficult decision, and it seems as though all of the political parties are having trouble with it. There's a number of conservative premiers who've struggled in determining when to open up because they know that the numbers are going to rise again. And then the hospitals and the doctors and the ICUs are going to be inundated again. And, what to do about that isn't a decision I'd be happy to try and make. And it's easy to complain, but what is the alternative? And one of the things that sort of I think we're going to find out is the schools too. There's a lot of talk about the schools and how why are they keeping some of them closed. I think it'll be discovered, and I think there's a strong suspicion that children are an important vector that moved a lot of and infected a lot of people, because young children often are not showing any symptoms at all. So there's some anecdotal evidence that I've run into where it seems as though a young child was a source of COVID, and a number of people got infected, and nobody could figure out who was the source, and it came down to pretty much it had to be the young child in the family, who of course gets picked up and hugged, and it's just natural, and became a vector for that entire family, and many of whom got sick with COVID. So I think that's probably holding people back to a certain extent anyway, at least holding governments back to a certain extent from opening the school system up, and that's understandable. So I think people got to just hold off a little bit here. We're almost to the end of this thing. I'm hoping that we get a chance to eradicate COVID. I'm really hoping that we can shut down the numbers to the point where we stop getting so many variants, because that's where it comes from. It's just the sheer number of people who have COVID that drive the variations. So it is in the best interest of everybody, including us in Canada and the United States and everywhere else, to get everyone vaccinated, try to get the numbers down, and drive this thing out of existence, hopefully. So anyway, here's hoping that we're able to do that, and here's hoping everyone's doing well out there. The weather has been spectacular lately, just about as good as you can get. So let's get out there, enjoy the environment, and get out there and see each other and have a few beers and get back to normal. So anyway, watch out for those UFOs, and we'll be talking soon, hopefully. Bye-bye.